Hi, Ballard High School and Ballard High School students. On behalf of Public Health, Seattle, King County, I just wanted to thank you for all of your care and concern. On behalf of King County, we really are with you in condolences and sympathy on your classmate who was lost in these recent weeks. We're here today to talk a little bit about fentanyl. My name is Brad Feingood, and I'm with Public Health, Seattle, King County. We've seen a recent increase in overdose deaths in pills and powders containing fentanyl in our community. People who are dying are younger and often teenagers. So we know how important this is to the community that you live in. Locally, fentanyl is most commonly seen, as I was saying, in pills and powder. I'll show you an example in a little bit. This is really difficult because we know that traditionally people really trust prescription medication. But what's really important to know is this is not the same prescription drugs that you will get from a pharmacy or from a doctor. These pills are often illicitly produced, sometimes out of this country, sometimes locally, but they are not real prescription pills. These pills are made to look like Oxycontin or Percocet pills that are sold on the street or online. So if you haven't gotten a prescription direct from a prescriber, your doctor, your dentist, or a pharmacy, we're going to assume that those pills are bad and are fake. They're not Oxycontin. They're not Percocet. You can't smell or taste fentanyl. So if you try to smell it and be like, this smells weird, fentanyl doesn't have a smell. You won't be able to tell. We're seeing fentanyl locally in the following substances. These pictures that we're showing right now are the pictures of pills that are made to look like pills that you would get over-the-counter medication. As I said, they're often bluish or greenish in color, sometimes a little bit pale. This pill right here is the one that's seen most often. They're stamped with an M on the front and a 30 on the back. But once again, it is really important to know that if you have not received these directly from a prescriber or from a pharmacy, most of them are fake and laced with fentanyl. One of the problems also is that if you go to try to test it for fentanyl, it's so improperly produced that part of a pill may contain fentanyl and the other part that you test might not. There is no way to know. It is extremely irregular. Also, we've seen fentanyl come in white powder. It's a little bit less, we see it a little bit less often, but it happens. And so anything with white powder in it could very well contain fentanyl also. It's important to know that you cannot determine whether a pill is real by what it looks like. As I said before, a lot of these pills are made to look very real. So it's important to know that if they look real or if they look fake, if you receive them online, not from an online pharmacy or from a friend or other community member, that those pills are assumed to have fentanyl in it. Beware of counterfeit pills that may look like prescription drugs. They contain fentanyl. So what do if you are witness to an overdose or if you know somebody around you is struggling? The first thing to do is to call 911 right away. We have a miracle drug that I'll tell you in a second about that reverses the effects of overdose. But before you do anything, call 911. We have this amazing law in Washington State called the Good Samaritan Law. The Good Samaritan Law protects you and the person overdosing from prosecution if you call 911. It is so much more important to save somebody's life, which is why we're here talking today, than it is to even think about prosecution or any type of law enforcement contact. That's why the Good Samaritan Law exists, because it's so important to save a life. We have this amazing medication drug called Narcan. The Surgeon General of the United States suggested that everybody carry Narcan. Now, there's a standing order statewide, so anybody can just walk into a pharmacy, talk to a pharmacist, and get a Narcan. Narcan, as you can see from this slide, is super easy. It's a nasal spray that looks a lot like allergy medicine. It's important to also know that if you use Narcan on somebody that you think's overdosing that's not, it will cause no harm or side effects. We don't recommend it on somebody who's pregnant, though. So call 911, get Narcan. You can find out where to get Narcan for sure at stopoverdose.org. One of the other things that we need to tell you about is that treatment works. People who use fentanyl often have something called opiate use disorder or opiate addiction. We have treatment that works. The Washington Recovery Helpline is a place to go that easy to call or to check online where we know that treatment is available. The last thing that I'll leave you with is it's super important to recognize the signs of overdose or what we call opioid sedation, where somebody's getting really sleepy. The first sign of an opioid overdose is somebody falling asleep. What happens is somebody's respiration or breathing starts to decrease. So if you see somebody that doesn't look like they're sleeping normally or is dozing off or is overly sedated, it's really, really important to say something. You do not want to let that person sleep it off or go back to sleep. Abnormal signs of sleeping, such as loud or abnormal snoring, or other types of signs, really difficult time waking somebody up, is one of the first signs that somebody is having an overdose. It's so important to let a trusted person know what's going on and to call 911 to make sure that the medical help arrives. If you do that, you can save somebody's life. And whether that person is happy or mad or whatever, they'll be able to come back and thank you, because if somebody passes away, they'll never have the opportunity to come back and thank you. So in one last thanks for hearing me today. Thanks for all your care and concern for your loved one. It is so important because as a community, we can help and save people's lives. Don't be afraid. Thank you. I appreciate it.